Hello, welcome back. I'm Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Marketing 106, Retail Merchandising slash Management, uh, opening the store, managing the store, filling in the store, selecting the store, from a retail perspective, from small to large. This is an online class, or or a blended class, half online, half face-to-face, or a face-to-face class. This is a quick summarization. Make sure you read the book. And today's chapter, we're going to be talking about site selection. We talked about customers. We talked about different um, trading analysis, areas of consumers. We got all that information. Now we're ready to pick out a site. Where are we going to move our business to? Where are we going to start? Very important. It's going to be a whole new adventure. We've done the research. We've done everything else. Now we know our customers. Now we know exactly what they want. Now we know where our competitors are or are not. Now we know where all the traffic and everything else we're going to find out. So we're going to look at three different types of location that most stars started off with. We're going to look at isolated location, unplanned business districts. They just pop up. Small towns usually happen like that. Planned shopping centers. Now that somebody's got planning, they're going to see what's this shopping center. It's going to be a high quality shopping center. Something like in Northfield or Northbrook, or it's going to be a Woodfield Mall of like a scramble type of merchandise, or it's going to be like a Gurney Mills, a discount, like sort of an outlet store out there where people could come in there. We're going to talk about different characteristics of that we already read or discussed in our discussion board, either face to face or on in a discussion forum or in a virtual classroom using Blackboard Collaborate. We're going to look at locations and different site evaluation. What makes sense for us? Remember, and one thing they didn't talk about too much in the thing is about the cost. There was some cost per square footage, and then you have to make the decision. You're going to rent or lease. You got to look at pedestrian traffic. Most of my customers are going to be walking, or are going to be people driving in there. So I got to make sure the facility depends where I'm open. I'm open in the suburbs. Everything's a drive, and got to make sure you got adequate parking. Make sure it's not where there's a big traffic jam or people don't like going there on the weekend or during the week. Where's my customer base? Okay, so I'm looking at vehicle traffic. I'm looking at parking considerations. How close do I park? How many parking spots do I got? Store compositive and characteristics of the site. Does it complement the other stores around me? In terms of occupancy, types of leases. Do I buy or do I rent? Pros and cons of leasing, renting, and other types of lease agreements that you could negotiate with. Remember, we're talking about this here. We're starting off the community college, and we're looking up you starting off your first business, first place you're going to locate. Even though these same items we just mentioned here, all of this is what every business, small to large, McDonald's, everyone's always looking at. You have to do it on your own. You are your entrepreneur. You are a started up business. You have to figure this out. You have limited resources, or do you? You've got the internet. You had this class, other sites told you what to look for. I think you may be able to pull this one off. Find that right location at the right cost and makes the customer satisfied. Have them come in there because I know my customers. I know all this. So let's go into our discussion. I'm going to try to keep this under half an hour. Remember, I don't edit under my discussion as it goes. You read the book, you had everything else that prepares you for the quiz. This gives you a quick overview. So three types of locations that the author talked about, and it's common. Isolated store, you're just out of the middle of nowhere, and people just know you're there. Unplanned business district. Small towns start like that. One store, whoever's got the money, I think you need this, just pop up. And then you have the planned shopping centers. These are coordinated efforts to have the shopping center has a grand theme to it, as I mentioned before. Let's go with the isolated store. Some of the advantage of isolated store, no direct competition, good visibility, low rental costs just out of nowhere. People say, sure, you could rent up you could adapt your facilities, unless you're a restaurant. Restaurant a little bit more. You can do it food, you need the grease pits, everything else zoning, but anything else you could kind of adapt pretty much to a lot of the zoning requirements. Okay, now some of the disadvantages, difficult getting customers in there. Here, let me make these lists a little bit bigger. I got this at 150, 200, just in case you're looking at your smartphone. Okay, so under the disadvantage, travel the distance. But some people, if you got a good product, if it's something they want, something unique, they'll drive. Trust me. high advertising expense. More because you're isolated. They don't see you, not walk through, they don't drive by. You have to stimulate that awareness to them. Possibly restrictive zoning. Sometimes those zoning rules are in your favor. Okay? Example of isolated stores: Walmart, Costco. They're always isolated, even though they're an anchor store. It's a fine tune. When I'm looking at isolated all by itself, and a lot of them are all by themselves, but they are master planned that other stores come around there, and that's the destination store, and then you hit the stores while you're in that area. Okay, now unplanned business districts. Okay, central business district. It breaks it down: central, secondary, neighborhood, and string. Central is the largest in the store. This is the core. A lot of small towns are trying to become a central business district. How do I bring people in? Usually to a small town hot dog in a restaurant. How do I bring them in? Around here, Long Grove, known for antiques. There's areas in Buffalo Grove that's known for different types of food or anything else. There's areas, strips that are out there. I think like if I'm mistaken, like around um, Palatine, right? There's got a Woodfield Mall, you got everything else in there, but it's centrally located where it's just that they develop off the main road, and that becomes their main hub, for lack of a better word. But their village hall isn't there, the police isn't there, so that's not really the center, but it is the center of activity or a commerce type of a center. A larger center in the shopping area, right in the center of town, and then you got the most office building, retail store, at least one major department store. And the secondary is usually outside, smaller stores, less depth and assortment. The city generally has one central business district, and this one here, the secondary, we're out here in the suburbs because they grew up off the roads, not planned. Just so happens, so here, and now that becomes their main. So their village hall and everything else would be what you would call the secondary. Some municipalities, all they have is their central and secondary together, and they're trying to create that new central through a planned, coordinated effort. Depends what's out there, whether it'll work with it, because you're already stuck at, when you're doing, later on when we go into a planned one down the road, you'll find out that planned ones are easier because you already have the whole landscape, and you could decide, here's going to be a show, here's going to be a police bar, and everything works out. The other stuff is kind of happens as the environment requires it, or flexibility of businesses that want to move in. Okay, now you have the neighborhood. The neighborhood, the small stores, usually smaller stores, little coffee shops, everything else. The neighbors, small pubs. I don't want to say bars. Bars. Small pubs. Little things bring people in pizza places with some drink, people activity, and it's a little bit more homely, for lack of a better word. Now the string one, basically a group of retail stores with similar comparable. If I look at, for lack of better words, if I look like Long Grove, for lack of better words, that's all antiques. Just certain areas, Wheeling could be more of restaurants or something. You know what I mean? So it depends. Something that a whole bunch of restaurants in some area, it's like the shopping center, or it's something that brings everyone else. But there's enough variety of the same service that, from a different take, that everyone could still prosper and make a profit. Okay, let's go into the planned shopping center. Advantage of the planned one: well-rounded assortment, strong suburban population. You're already in there. One-stop shopping for all, brings people in. And when I'm looking at this planned shopping center, they're not really the malls anymore. What they call leisure centers. We could drive or walk around. People are kind of out of the malls. At the malls are nice. It gets expensive. You got to pay that common area and everything else, and people. And some people like that, some don't. Because I just drive to one store, come back. It depends on what's going on. Right now, malls are kind of going down, but now leisure centers are coming up. But the malls may come back. Remember what we talked about when we were doing in fashion? What's in style? Style is always the same. Bell bottoms are there, baggy grays, whatever. But now, is it fashionable? Depends. And cycles come around. Okay. So you've got that, and you got pedestrian traffic is all planned out, either inside, outside, conveyor belts. Everything's worked out very well, very coordinated effort. But you got to pay for that effort in advance. Okay, disadvantage, limited flexibility. You're stuck with it. You can't change it. Higher rent, again, because you're paying for common area, restricted product, competition. You kind of control who's in there so everyone could make some money out of it and you don't have too much of the same product uh, um, unless that's the theme of your, an outlet store, an outlet mall. But usually you try to have the diversity. And dominated by anchor stores. Anchor stores are good. It brings them in. Some people, that's the only reason to go to the anchor store. They may not venture out to the rest of the mall. And then closing stores. Okay, so we have this one here is different figures. And all this is just talks about different kind of a shopping mall. This one has the Ferris wheel, brings people in here. And if you notice with all this, it could be for dating, could be for kids, doesn't make a difference, but it brings the entertainment in. Once I'm in there on that one, I may shop. How good of a shopper isn't irrelevant. It has a name thing, and people just a lot of tourists will come in there just to say I've been at this mall. Okay, now regional center. Again, here's what the regional so, and we talked about this. It's just a table telling you, the square footage, how many people, the number of stores, and it depends where you want to do, how much activity, foot traffic, or you're going to be like we just said before, some of the other stores. I don't want to call you a parasite store, but a store that basically is not a destination store, but you're in the area and people are already buying like suits and everything else, and you're selling cufflinks, handmade cufflinks. You're selling ties. You're selling something that in that area is the higher end, and you're just selling something that they're not going to come in there to buy specifically, but they're already there and they may go to your shop. Okay? Right, and then you got the neighborhood store. Okay, now when we talk about location, it talks about 100% location. Location, and you make you or break you. It says you in advertising and everything else. You have to be where. That's what I said last time. Walmart. We're looking at site selection. Walmart's all over because a lot of old baby boomers or people are retired. They don't like to travel far, like to travel close. So it's enough pharmacy. They not only have pharmaceutical, your prescription, everything else. They sell clothesline, they sell coffee, they sell pop, they sell all this other thing, almost like a convenience store and a gas station. Once you're in there to get your prescription refilled, you have all this other stuff that helps you, in lack of better words, buy more. The whole thing is bring you in there and buy more like an impulse shopping. Okay, and then here's this one here is just a YouTube about the center. How when I really looked at it, it was nice because it had everything there, but it didn't look aesthetic. I grew up in Chicago. It looks like another city building. But that's my perspective. Other perspective, I'm from the town. Where am I coming from? I may look at this, wow, what a marvel. Look at this, everything underneath there. Depends on who's coming into your shop, okay? And then here's just a checklist, and we had all this, parking, all this, everything we're going to talk about. Now, pedestrian traffic, they look at different things. When you look at this traffic, I'm just going to go through here and the rest of them, is what they're looking for is number of people passing by. It just exposes your windows, no different than traffic on the line. Click base, every time somebody clicks on your site, whether they go further or not, you get charged for it. So, but it means something attracted them to your website, something attracted them to your window, something. And I talked with the class, and everyone says what attracts a lot of them is the window display. Something catches my eye, so you got to change their window display. Don't leave the same one. If they come up, the window display's not there, and they come, once a week, twice a week, and they don't look anymore. Okay. Improper pedestrian traffic. You're looking at when you're looking at pedestrian, you're looking at how many people are potential customers ready to buy. Time of day makes a difference. If they got a lot of kids, I'm talking about, and some selling kids stuff. But otherwise, kids don't spend it. They don't spend that much time in the store. There's a lot of other variables I have to be concerned about, and it depends on who I'm selling. If I'm selling like fine china, afraid of them breaking and stuff. I kind of worry if I want to be in an area right next to Kids R Us. They're out of business. Or if there's a kids store or anything else, so I got that traffic coming in there. And parents, oh, let's look in the store. Just coming up with ideas here. Remember, we're talking out of here. We already discussed this in class. We just want to make sure everything is up and running. Okay, now vehicle traffic. When we look at vehicle traffic, why is it important? People in America don't like to walk anymore. Come on, I'm one of them. That's why Amazon doing so good. I don't even have to leave the car. I don't have to leave the house. I just do everything online. But people still like it. Women, clothing, everything else still like to try it on. Still like to look. Still like to look at different things, touch and feel. put it on, see how I look at it, see if it fits me right, see if it lays right, see if the color combination is actual. So you still have people coming in there, you know what I mean, but you have to be able to park. If I buy a lot, oh geez, you know, when I used to work downtown, people would buy stuff, and not too much. They could go back on the train unless you're driving, and you got to haul this down to all these people. So your traffic, or your even if you're visiting shopping, you're limited because your car's someplace else, and you got to carry all that. That has to be in consideration. That's where your catalog comes in. That's why we'll deliver it. Buy it here, no problem, sir. We'll have it tomorrow, deliver it at your house. That fee there will make them pay more. You see how I'm doing? Because I'm adjusting to what's going on. The cars ain't close by. They got to walk. They're not going to buy more because they got to carry it all the way back there. So, or I may have valet parking. I may have something that will pick it up, or put your car up on top of the. A lot of places have the parking on top of the buildings. They have no room. You put shop in here, you have it in there. Okay, and then we go into parking consideration by code. They're looking at the worst case scenario, how many parking spots you got, you know, distance from the stores, availability for employee parking. Or you make the employees park in the back. Something that's kind of good. If they're bad, if they don't want to close the store, they don't want to walk way back in the parking lot. You know, it's kind of scary at nighttime. You have to look at the security of the person. You can say, hey, look, you're in the third shift, you could park right up in front. You're in the second shift, we understand you don't want to closing, you could park right up in front. We have a special thing for people who are going to be key holders or closing the store. Those things you have to think about, or people won't work for you. How many parking spots? Shopping centers, basically, they tell you is 4 to 5 for every 1,000 square foot of gross space, because you got a lot of people buying a lot of stuff, more people coming in. Supermarkets, 10 to 15 per thousand, more people, larger like the Walmart, Kmart, you know what I mean? Furniture stores, 3 to 4 again. How often are they going to come in? They're not going to get as much, but you still have it by square foot. And now these numbers here are just a general starting point. Depends on the municipality, depends on the town, depends what they require, depends what they want. So you have to do it. Do you have a double store? Just have so many more people come in. We want to make sure there's no problems or anything else. You look at Woodfield Mall or Gurney Mills if you shop in there during the week. Oh my God, look at all this parking spots. What the heck? I could build 5 more stores in here. Come around the holidays, come around this busy season, you can't find a parking spot. You gotta walk. But they're for the worst case scenario. And that's the cost. It's whether you use it or not. You got to clean the parking lot. You got to do all that. Okay, now the other thing you're looking at is store composition and site characteristic. Do you have mass transportation? A little different. I don't need as much parking. People come and drive. Number of size other store sites. How big are they? Does it complement me? Existing compatibility or complement? Are some of the stores that even though I'm selling one product, they may complement my product by selling something I'm not selling. I may have very limited. I'll say, go over there, they got the shoes. I'm not selling shoes, I'm selling suits. I have some shoes or some socks, but they have a better selection. And I try not to overdo it, just in case for those that are lazy or convenient, I have it there, but if they want something more, then I work with that. And that could be part of my lease agreement. Excuse me. Okay? Now we're going to talk about pros and cons of buying or leasing. When you're starting off your business, you're not sure if the location's right. You get the best of what you get, okay? So you may not want to go into lease agreement. You may, purchasing or long-term agreement, you may just want to do 1 or 2 years. Remember, you don't have much merchandise, you don't have anything else, but if it goes on well, you don't want to move either. So you got to have some kind of, it's a gamble. That's all I could tell you. You know what I mean? Sign up low, I could tell you. And by the next year, if you have that feeling while things are still low, and then try to sign up for a longer agreement. Okay, freedom, pros. Pros and cons. If I'm owning it, I don't have to worry about lease renewal, ability to write off the depreciation. Be careful, because with the new administration, the Trump administration, President Trump is trying to move away more from that kind of a financing from a business, more for equity. I mean, I got to pay cash for a lot of stuff, no discount, no writing off stuff on my expenses. You know what I mean? It's not going to be beneficial to me, so I'll have to start thinking of a different way. And same thing with stores. Smaller stores, you're better off not to go into a hole. So, you know what I mean? But that's something. If you had the money or somebody left you some property and you could convert a building or something else into an office or a boutique or something that fits in, get away with it. But if it's a residential house, you're converting it, it's still a residential house, for lack of a better word. Some people may come in there, some may not. A dentist's office or anything else, I could get away with it, kind of, but it looks a little different. It's still a residential area. Okay, difficulty securing your loans. You may not be able to get a loan in a neighborhood or regional shopping center. You're locked in. Assets tied up in the state where most businesses fail because of cash flow. Don't have any, they got a good idea, everything else. Got to pay inventory 6 months in advance. I don't have the cash flow. Real estate activity could divert attention. All of a sudden, there's a crack, or they're working on a road, and I'm stuck there for 2 years, and then I'm barely making money, or my building needs painting, my building's leaking, whatever. Somebody broke the windows, or all that changes. Neighborhood change. I'm stuck with it. So there is plus. No different when you're buying a house. Plus and negative. Could I do it? Difficulty renting adjacent space or current space. A lot of businesses you only need the first floor, and you rent the second as a different stream of income, or coming in, more cash coming in, and you can't rent it for whatever reason. And you can select who. No one wants to rent. You see a lot of apartments above stores and everything else. They rent them very inexpensive just to kind of pay the electricity, have somebody in there. But hey, if you're an apartment dweller, you get a good thing. If you don't mind them working at the middle, during the daytime, you're above a furniture store. There's some really nice suites out there for college students, for young people starting off, and to save the money and don't spend too much money, but still have a lot of ability. And from a business perspective, extra income coming in. Okay. Let's see, terms of occupancy, ownership versus leasing, types of lease, operation, maintenance costs, taxes, zoning restriction, all this. Now, types of leases they talked about. A straight lease is easy. Here it is. You got for 5 years, $10,000 a month. That's really inexpensive. Depends where you're at. But you could get it for 1,000. You could get it if you're looking for how much for rent. Figure what a rent's going, and figure 3, 4 more times more. Or you're in an older area that's changing. It's now was kind of shady. Now it's become preppy. Now it's become more affluent. People are changing. You see the neighborhoods are changing. You see more of a newer car. The city's doing some road. I could get in there at a good price, and if I could survive the 3, 4 years for the neighborhood to change completely and bring in the clientele, I'm already locked in for a 5, 10 year lease at a low price because they just want to fill in the occupancy, and then I'm okay. Just make sure you look at the terms and conditions, and then sign me up for finance. I also teach. Okay, the percentage rate is realtor pays $10,000 per month and 5% of sales. Woodfield Mall, Gurney Mills. That's why it's so expensive. Not only if I want that front line where people are usually coming, I pay higher because it's prime location, no different than a mall or anything else that we looked at. But I also have to pay a certain amount of percentage of sales. If I'm not generating that, you're out in the corner, somebody else is coming in. So it's almost like a franchise, but you got that location, but then you get that flow of traffic. If you get a lot of traffic, or it's hurting a lot of the malls and everything else, the flow of traffic of people coming into malls are not, enclosed centers are dropping. As they're dropping, all of a sudden, tenants are leaving. They can't afford it because they don't have any clients. Just not incentive. Now the malls are trying to say, how do we bring them in? Some are becoming into medical centers. Some are becoming like a big physician office. You come in there, and while you're waiting, you could go shopping. They're trying to do something. It could be entertainment. They got to do something to bring people into the mall. A lot of people like myself or others are shopping online. Even online, Amazon, not naive. It's opened up brick and mortar. It wants to be in both areas. As the market changes, the environment changes, or people want to get out more because they don't have much cash, but they want to go looking, they want to shop. It's a part of entertainment. Will they come back? May not. Cycles. I want to be prepared. Okay, and then we've got maintenance and recoupment, retail or tenant responsible for half increase in property taxes, insurance based on year of current lease. Then the graduate went $10,000 per month for 5 year term, and then it basically goes up as needed. Lease retail, I forgot to put that on per month. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. And let me correct this. I'm already in here, right? Per month after 3 years. There goes up to 12. Hey, what it basically means, and I made a mistake when I did it. It basically means it changes like an adjustable. 2 years you get in because you can't afford it, and after 2 years, like they're doing the roads. We understand they keep it low. After you go in there, then it goes up for another 2,000, or we renegotiate it by it only could go up by 2%, 3%, or you have it locked in for that much. Okay, and then net is basically a lead to retailer. Tenant pays all expenses with respect to property upkeep and a mortgage and structural repairs. That's kind of you really got to get. But your rent is lower, but you got to do all the maintenance on that. And then does he or the owner have any kind of input on that? And in different types. So and here's just a link. You go in there and it gives you different types of leases. The formal, you'd be surprised. 5 year lease. Okay, other types of lease. A lease to with an option to buy. Some people, okay, I can't afford it now, so part of your rent is also going part of your like a down payment, for lack of a better word. Okay, sales lease back. That means retail sells property and then leases it back. A lot of companies do that because they have a better, a higher tax write-off as expense than owning the property and just paying for the taxes. But remember, the new administration, underneath the Trump administration, he's getting rid of a lot of these changing regulation, but it's also getting rid of a lot of the deductions businesses has. He wants businesses to be, instead of debt, to start thinking of more equity. I think that's a good idea, but it's a slow thing to change the culture of business. As it changes the culture of businesses, I think the intent is to basically change the culture shopping. Instead of charging, I start saying, I'll put half down and half later on a charge. So I'm paying more towards it, and then instead of just charging everything in and using 5 years of charges, basically future income, enjoying it now. And then when I can future, I'm running out. Hopefully, I could always up like a Ponzi scheme indirectly. Okay, so I think that's it. Hey, we covered everything. Not too bad. And I should be under expand and live one and review. Remember, we're live. Put it down to fit map. All right. Okay, so this is what we covered. We covered locations. Last chapter, we covered looking at the trade and analyzing the area where the business is at. Now we're going to finally select the location. Is it a district? Depends on your customer. Are you looking for traffic? Are they driving? Are they walking? It'd be kind of nice to have a combination. If you get to where you could drive, walk, and do everything else, that would be ideal. I get them all. You know what I'm talking about? You got to look at pedestrian traffic inside the store. That's not too much, not too, they're comfortable. They got seating arrangements, so you move them around. And then you look at either you own the building or you lease the building. If you get the building fairly inexpensive, or if you think this is a good area, then you go purchase it. But if not, that's money you could use for something else, or you're just going to try to see if there's a market for that geographic area. If it is, if it's a market and you're doing the thing, your tenant's going to, your landlord is going to want more money. You're going to have to take that. There's a lot you have to think about, but don't fret. You'll do well. Leasing or renting or going someplace else. You'll be surprised. Some of the areas that are, there's nothing out there. If you have a good product, if you have a good name, if you have a good network, if you have a good social media, you have a good marketing, and they come to that area, you could be, if you have a good product, they'll come because for quality. But depends what you're selling, depends what you're looking for, depends who your customers are. And there's a lot of factors going on there right now. you know. Check it out. And the bottom, like I tell you, look at your gut feeling, that intuition. Yes, this will work. Visualize it. Could you see it in the future? It's going to be at. Look at the good. Look at the bad. Hopefully, the better will always overcome. You know, talking about because you look at the bright side. You know what I mean? But if you start seeing all the negative, maybe inside of you, you have that discontent within yourself. Put it off. Wait off. It's not the time to do it. You have to almost. You're always going to be a little jittery to understand, but you have a majority of it. Think I know it's going to work. Good. All right. So that's what we have. So selecting chapter 10, site selection. Then we're going to see how you're going to open up, and then you don't know till after you're in business to see if it works. I see a lot of businesses open up. They had good ideas, and they go down, and it's just because the location was bad, or the customers didn't think it was. Too much a hassle to come in there. There's other competitors easier, or whatever. All right, so I'm Dr. George Mochocki. This is a fully online class or a face-to-face class or a blended class, and this is just a supplement what we discussed in the classroom, in the discussion board, or in the classroom lectures. And we're on site selection. This is marketing, retail merchandising. Um, 106 offered by Harper College, and I'll see you in our next chapter. Bye. Let's see, how many minutes I got here? 29, still underneath 30. Goodbye.